Hello, YouTube. Hi, it's Will again. And I got an email this morning while I was at breakfast with the family asking me about an update to the voiceover production process I put in the last video using REAPER. So I'm here today to do a new recording and a new screen capture and a new sort of process overview of what it is that I do to optimize my process for creating and producing and preparing and delivering voiceover services. So since the last video, I have made a voiceover booth in a closet. So I think what I would like to do is show you that thing first. And then from there, we'll jump into the recording process of an actual voiceover recording. So let's get right to it. But what I want to do is actually start recording in REAPER so that once I've had a chance to show you my booth, we can just jump in and start the recording right away. So here we go. Now what you see in REAPER is the microphone in the booth picking me up from 10 or 15 feet away. Let's go look at that. I have my phone sitting here. Hello. And there's you. And here's my setup here. So let's stand up, back away a little bit, and take a look at this closet that I've set up. And maybe have a quick sip of water because I'm going to do some recording here. And let's take a peek inside my closet. These are moving blankets that I've hung with, with hooks and grommets. And what you see is a nice sort of mood lighting system that I set up. I got that at IKEA for a few bucks. That's a bright light that I put in here just so that you can see me. That light is usually off. And there's me again. Hello, me again. And there's my Chaotica eyeball, which is recording. And as I get closer to it, you'll see it turn yellow if I yell too loud. And anyway, so this is my booth. Moving blankets that have been sort of crunched together to soak up some of the noise, and a towel up top, and my eyeball, and an iPad. The iPad is usually there as a way for me to see the script. But today, the iPad is shooting me. So hello. I'm going to turn my iPhone off. And here we are. Set my iPhone over here. I have a script that I put up here, which is right here. And I'm already recording, so let's get right to it. This is a 2,200-word audiobook excerpt from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is by one of my favorite authors, good old Douglas Adams. And this is from The Restaurant at the End of the Universe, 1981. This is chapter 29 of The Restaurant at the End of the Universe. Let's begin. On a small, obscure world somewhere... Oh, I forgot to tell you something. My editing process. When I make a mistake, and I'm going to make lots of mistakes, my process is to make a little clucking sound like this. Just like that, right into the microphone. And then I just keep going, and you'll see what that's about in a second. So let's resume, because I'm going to make a lot of mistakes. Here we go. On a small, obscure world, somewhere in the middle of nowhere in particular, nowhere, that is, that could ever be found, since it is protected by a vast field of unprobability to which only 6 men in this galaxy have a key, it was raining. It obliterated the small, rough pathway that led from the shack down to the seashore and smashed apart the neat piles of interesting shells which had been placed there. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I'm doing recording for like 15 minutes.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yep.
The noise of the rain on the roof of the shack was deafening within, but largely unnoticed by his occupants, whose attention was otherwise engaged.
He was a tall, shambling man with rough, straw-colored hair that was damp from the leaking roof. Doubt crept into his voice. What do you think? So far, so good? Perhaps you just think they're singing songs to you.
Weird, said Zaphod. Wowee, said Zaphod. The seat of power. He tickled the cat. Good on you, great ruler, he said. Tell it like it is. Good on you, great ruler, he said. Tell it like it is. No, listen to me, said Zarnwoop. People come to you. Do they in ships? I think so, said the man. He handed the bottle to Trillian. Oops, shit. I dropped my script. Where was I? This is why I like to record from my iPad. Ah, barked. Ah, barked Zarnwoop. You say the Lord. You believe in something. He then talked to his table for a week to see how it would react. So, I didn't make quite as many mistakes as I thought I might. So what we're going to do now is stop the recording, leave the booth, and see what we can do to get this thing mastered and edited and done. Let's get it done. Bye.
Okay, so, hello again. And, well, that's too bad that popped up there. But I'm not going to do the whole thing over again just because that was there. So we'll do that later. I'm going to stop my recording. So now, look at what we got going on here. What else do I want to show you? I want to show you this cool gadget that I have. It's a Contour Shuttle Pro V2, and it's right down there. And I guess you can look it up, or I'll show you a picture of it in the final version of this thing. But it allows me, when I put my hand on this thing, I have total control. I can zoom way out. I can scan back and forth, keep zooming out. Let's see the whole thing. So that's it. That's the whole thing. And what I usually do after a recording, and by the way, you can see very clearly, every time I make a mistake, my little sound, I think that's it right there, right? Yeah. So what I do is I start from the end of my recording right there, and I work through it backwards. And I have a button on my little contour here that deletes stuff. And I've configured REAPER so that if I click on the top half of the waveform, I can position the playhead. But if I click on the bottom half, as I scroll back and forth, what it does is it makes a cut. And I've configured REAPER to behave this way. So if I want to make a cut, I just click on the bottom half right there. Then I use my index finger on my contour to delete. And what will happen is I've programmed REAPER to change the color of the clip that I've selected and delete it. So I press the button and it's gone. What this allows me to do is very rapidly scan through and just get rid of stuff that I don't like. This little tiny little noise that this is, you won't really be able to hear it, but let's just see. Yeah, it's kind of the sound of my lips opening. I might just grab that thing and get rid of it. So I clicked on the bottom and I slid this thing over. Maybe I'll zoom out again and resume. And this is the process. All these little noises. Oops, I didn't mean to make that cut, so I hit undo. What is this? Right, this is a sound we do not want. So I get rid of that. What's this? Right, so you can really recognize very easily where the cuts need to be. And now that I've sort of done explaining this, what I can do is go quite a bit faster. And we'll do this in time lapse. I've got about 20 minutes of material. Scroll to the very end, maybe a little more. I've got, 19 minutes and 20 seconds worth of stuff. And let me scan through it very rapidly and fix all of these mistakes. And this is what I do. I see this mark, I recognize it. I don't have to play it back every time, and you'll see that I don't do that. But I know that what I'm going to do is pick up from here. So you hear me say,
He turned.
and he turned, right? And here I am here saying,
He turned.
he turned. So this is a portion that I don't want. So I cut here, and there's another one here. So I bet this is me saying he turned.
He turned.
Right? So what that means to me is this is me saying he turned correctly, and this is me doing it wrong. This is me doing it wrong again, right here.
He turned.
So I make a cut and delete it. And just like that, it never even happens. So I'm going to scan through, Keep going, and I'm going to stop talking. We're going to go into time-lapse mode here, and let's see how fast I can rip through this 20 minutes of material.
Tell it.
I'm just going to stop the time-lapse here to allow you to see just, I mean, every now and then you notice these little things, and just isolating this right here. Oops, I didn't mean to make the cut.
Tell it.
So it's me, tell it like it is. I want this.
Tell it like it is.
Tell it like it is. But this thing,
Tell it.
ugh, right? So let's just get rid of it. Gone. Oops, I hit home too fast. So where was I? I was around here. I'm going to zoom back in and resume. Okay, so that's done. What's left, as I zoom out, is all of the stuff of just me talking at you before, right?
And then I just keep going, and you'll see what that...
Right, so all of the rest of this is gone. The other thing that you noticed as I was doing this, when I turn my scroll wheel here, the further I turn it, each sort of click zooms out a little bit further. So as I click, as I turn it harder and harder and harder, it zooms out and zooms out and zooms out, and that allows me to zoom out and scan through this thing really rapidly. So we go back to the beginning. I've now completed a rough edit of this recording. It's not done. What's left is to sort of fix the timing and do some effects to sort of fix the sound a little bit. And I've talked a little bit about effects before, but I'm going to go through that just briefly again now. I've got a button on my contour that brings up my effects layout, and I have two windows that I've just opened up at the push of a button. And I like iZotope's Nectar 2. I really like it a lot. I've got a preset that I've got configured for it in terms of my EQ. I don't think I ever showed this to you before, but a little bit of a high shelf, a little bit of dropping of the mids, a little bit of boost of the bass, and then I cut everything off so that the plosives in my Ps and other sort of rumbly sounds get dropped out. That I'm not going to adjust so much. I've got a de-esser configuration that allows me to actually to give you a little more of the EQ and the high end of the EQ there without making the S sounds sound offensive. So it brings the S sounds back a little bit. I've got a compressor that I use. I'm not really an audio expert exactly, but I do know what I think makes my voice sound good. So I've got a compressor set to even out the sort of the dynamic range of my voice without crushing it too much. And then the last stage is a limiter to make sure that the peaks of the recording are at about -3 dB and don't go over it. So and you saw for that recording there were bits where Zarniwoop is sort of shouting, and I might have clipped. I might have been too loud. I tried to back away from the microphone just a little bit. And so my challenge for this recording is going to be to set my compression and limiting so that the kind, intimate, soft voice of the ruler of the universe is heard to be kind and intimate and soft. And yet Zarniwoop has to be able to shout, and it all has to sound more or less the same volume so that if you're listening to this audiobook in headphones, it's not a big mess. So what's left for me to do is to, I think from that camera, you may be able to see this monitor over here. That's where I've got my script. I'm going to go through this whole thing and listen to the recording and make small timing adjustments. And as I go, sort of verify that my EQ settings are right. So the first thing I'm going to do is just start playing it and make an adjustment to the compression and the limiting so that it sounds the way I want it to. And I sort of do that visually.
World, somewhere in the middle
compressor
of nowhere
here.
In particular,
what I want to do
that
is dial back the compressor so that it's somewhat aggressive.
It was raining. It was bucketing down.
But maybe not that aggressive.
It beat the top of the sea into a mist. It pounded the trees.
And so what you see here is that it's maxing out at an attenuation of about 10 dB when I'm at my loudest. And when I'm speaking softly, it doesn't do anything. So I think that's kind of how I want it. And then in my limiter, I want to
it obliterated the small, rough pathway that led
set my threshold down to around here.
And smashed apart the neat piles
and you'll see
shells which had been placed there.
that when the limiter kicks in, you see these little marks that indicate that the limiter is bringing down the overall level. So I want to see that fairly rarely, and yet overall I want the dynamics to be up at around between -3 and -6. And that's about where we want to be. Now let's find Zarniwoop. Let's find a shout, like something kind of loud, right? I'm cruising through, like this right here. What's this? Oh, that's just a bunch of edits.
In a couple of
Here we go, right? So this is some good stuff. So you'll see the limiter really kicking in. You'll have to judge for yourself if I'm processing this audio well. Here's a nice loud thing happening here. So we'll start with this soft thing. This is probably the ruler, and then this is Zarny Whoop or Zaphod or somebody speaking up. What does it look like?
He sat on the edge of the chair. Zarnywhoop leaned stiffly against the table, and Zaphod lay on the mattress. "Wowee," said Zaphod, "the seat of power." He tickled the cat. "Listen," said Zarnywhoop, "I must ask you some questions."
I'm pretty okay with that, right? So at this point, let me go back to the beginning. We'll go back into time-lapse mode. I'm going to listen to the whole thing, compare it with my script. If I've made any errors, this take here is for recording something again. So I'll show you what that looks like. I've got a special button on my contour again. So if I'm, let's see, I'm in the middle somewhere and I find that I've made a mistake in this phrase. Let's say this is a mistake.
The noise of
What I do is I position the cursor right here. I press this button and it immediately starts recording. Make this a little go like this so you can see that I'm recording. I step back into the booth. I record my little thing. Hello, I'm making my recording, 1, 2, 3. And then let's say that was my recording, right? So then I come back, I come out of the booth, I sit down, and we stop, and I can see this is the portion of my recording I want to keep. So again, I mark this, delete this, mark this here, delete all this crap, and then I can just take this and slide it right up to there to replace it, and I'm done. So obviously we're not actually doing that, so we'll skip that, go back to the beginning, and now I'm in time-lapse mode. We'll listen to the whole thing. Oops, this was soloed. So the button that I pushed turns off the effects and it solos this thing. So we go back here and we're ready to resume.
on a small, obscure world, somewhere in the middle of nowhere in particular. Nowhere, that is, that could ever be found, since it is protected by a vast field of unprobability to which only 6 men in this galaxy have a key. It was raining.
I forgot to tell you something. I forgot to tell you about this window, which by now you may have figured out. It's breath control. Can you see, as I zoom in, you can see what looks like a breath. Every time I breathe, it looks like the same little artifact when I breathe. This little sort of hump before a bunch of text, before a bunch of words. And this software recognizes that as well. I've got this thing set up to remove 6.5 decibels of loudness, every time it notices a breath. And so as I play this thing, you'll see in this rolling scan.
Small but warm. There was also an
didn't
old
see that one. How about this one?
mention.
Nope, didn't see that one either. How about this one?
He said,
There you go. So this one.
"Pussy, pussy," he said. "Coochie, coochie,
And it's funny. Sometimes it recognizes it and sometimes it doesn't.
pussy," he said. "Coochie, coochie."
There it is. So what that does is just so that you don't hear me taking this great gasping breath. And some people may use that plugin to just delete the breath entirely. I certainly don't do that. Anyway, where was I?
He tried holding the pencil under the paper, then next to the paper. He tried wrapping the paper round the pencil. He tried rubbing the stubby end of the pencil
I
against.
made a mistake.
He tried holding the pencil under the paper, then next to the paper.
I missed the whole phrase. The correct phrase, the correct sentence is, he tried holding the pencil under the paper, then over the paper, then next to the paper. So I need to record that again, which is great.
He tried holding the pencil
So
under
we're
the
right here, and I'm going to push my special little button. I'm going to go back into the booth and record that thing again. And it'll take me a while to find it, but here we go.
All right, what did I do with my script? Where is it? Here it is. He tried. Ah, here you go. He tried holding the pencil under the paper, then over the paper, then next to the paper. That's probably enough.
Okay, we're back, and we'll stop recording. And just like I said before, so this is the part,
Next to the paper.
and we'll take that, get rid of that. All of this stuff is prologues. We'll get rid of that. And now I'm back. This is what I need to replace. So I've got this thing here, which I'm going to solo and listen to real briefly.
He tried holding the pencil under the paper.
Okay, we hear both of them, right?
next to the paper. Then
So if I move this thing over here, I'm resuming with,
he tried wrapping the paper
right. So that's where it resumes. So I'm going to take this, give myself some room, and put this thing right here. And there's some funny things that Reaper does that I don't quite understand. So what I'm actually going to do is delete that and delete that, give myself some more room, pop this guy into there, bring that guy back like this. Let's see what it sounds like.
is of bringing them together. He tried holding the pencil under the paper, then over the paper, then next to the paper. He tried wrapping the paper round the pencil.
Good.
He tried
Resuming. Let's
rubbing
go.
the stubby He tried sitting up.
Can I show you one more thing? Now, this is getting really down and dirty, but I thought I heard a little mouth click that was not so great. So I have some headphones here, and I'm going to really dig in here, see if I can find it.
He studied it briefly and filled in a couple of clues before losing interest.
Yeah, before losing interest.
Before losing.
Right around here. And you're going to see it. And sometimes you can get rid of it, and sometimes you can't. I think it's right here. You see this sort of wobbly bits in the waveform? That's my click. Now, if it were a shorter, less offensive click, I'd be able to get rid of one waveform. But if I get rid of all of the waveforms, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 waveforms that have that click in it.
Losing it.
I can't hear it now.
Before losing it. Or losing.
Oh, you know what? It's this. It's right there.
Losing interest.
Yeah, I think that was it. So we find it again.
Or losing. Or lose.
Right here. That's it. That little thing right there. So I can delete that one waveform. We're going to go from, let's go on our way down like this. And we're just going to resume like that right there. And I've just now edited the waveform all the way down at the waveform level, which I don't know. I really kind of dig this. And as I zoom out, it'll be like nothing ever happened. Let's see if it fixed it.
Before losing.
It's still a little bit of click there, but I think it's much better.
Full of clues before losing interest.
All right, I'll take that. So you don't want to spend too much time doing that because part of my demo here is about like how long does it take to record 15 minutes of audio from start to finish? And my goal is about 3 times the total running time, maybe 45 minutes of work. And I'm into minute 50 by now because I've done all this talking. So anyway, let me get going. This, there's a timing issue here, my first timing issue that I want to adjust as well.
Briefly, and filled in a couple of clues before losing interest. He tried sitting.
So I just want a little less pause after the breath, and I want just a little less delay generally.
Before losing interest. He tried sitting on one of his hands and was intrigued by the feel of the bones in his hip.
Made another mistake. The bones in his hip, the bones of his hip.
By the feel of the bones in his.
So we're going to go here and we're going to record that again too. The bones of his hip.
The bones of his hip.
Where's my, here it is. Feel, okay, here we go.
He tried sitting on one of his hands and was intrigued by the feel of the bones of his hip.
Here we are. Scroll back a little bit. Find my thing. It's right there. Get rid of that crap. Get rid of that crap. And this time I'm just going to drop it in like so. And I'm going to erase, let's see, what was that right there? Get rid of that. Bring this in so we actually, do I want to keep the breath or not keep the breath? I'm going to say not keep the breath. Turn my effects back on like that, unsolo this, and here we are.
Studied it briefly and filled in a couple of clues before losing interest. He tried sitting on one of his hands and was intrigued by the feel of the bones of his hip. Fish come from far away, he said.
I want a delay after hip, so just give yourself time to think about that.
Of the bones of his hip. Fish come from far away, he said.
Okay.
Or so I'm told. Or so I imagine I'm told.
Another little thing. 3 figures emerged, huddling into themselves to keep the rain off their faces. I said off of their faces, And I'm going to cheat. I'm not going to record it again. I'm going to edit it out.
Huddling into themselves to keep the rain off of their faces.
And the right thing to do is just to re-record it. I'm mainly editing this out just to sort of show what can be accomplished with Reaper and with video, with a little bit of audio editing.
The rain off of their faces.
Off their faces. I bet you if I do this, I'm good.
Rain off faces.
Oops, too much. Off their. It's this right here. Like that. And then we're good. I think that's done it.
To keep the rain off their faces.
Can you even tell?
Into themselves to keep the rain off their faces.
Sounds right to me.
In there? Shouted Trillian above the noise of the rain. Yes, said Zarniwoop. That shack? Yes. Weird, said Zaphod. But it's in the middle of nowhere.
So this is me and my audio processing. Like if I were a real audio engineer, I might be writing a fader to kind of really adjust this just right and to tailor and adjust the sound. And you know, with Reaper, you can do really cool things like set envelopes and bring that part down a little bit. I'm not doing it. I mean, for an audiobook that I'm paid for, I might conceivably do it, but I'm not sure it needs it. You tell me in the comments if this passage where we've got some really loud and quiet bits, does it work with my effects settings or does it need manual editing? Let's listen again.
To keep the rain off their faces. In there? Shouted Trillian above the noise of the rain. Yes, said Zarniwoop. That shack? Yes. Weird, said Zaphod. But it's in the middle of nowhere, said Trillian. We must have come to the wrong place. You can't rule the universe from a shack. They hurried through the pouring rain and arrived, wet though, at the door. They knocked. They shivered. The door opened. Hello, said the man. You're very sure of your facts, he said at last. I couldn't trust the thinking of a man who takes the universe, if there is one, for granted.
Now, I'm not pausing here to show you anything about my workflow. I'm just pausing here to let you listen to that genius one more time.
You're very sure of your facts, he said at last. I couldn't trust the thinking of a man who takes the universe, if there is one, for granted. This is all monstrously wrong. I've never met all these people you speak of, and not...
Now, this is why I use Reaper. I don't know. There was a thing where the ruler of the universe says, I don't know, and it's gone. But you see there's a cut here. So this is all monstrously wrong, says Zarniwoop. And then the leader says, I don't know. I've never met all these people. But I don't know is missing. Look.
Monstrously wrong. I've never met...
What it means is that I was too zealous in deleting something. But the thing about Reaper is it's a non-destructive editor. So I don't know is hidden right here. Let's see.
I've never met all...
Let's see. I don't know. I bet you that's it right here.
I don't know.
There he is. So what happened is I said, I've never met all these people, and I made a mistake, and I clicked. And when I was editing, I took out I don't know when all I should have taken out was this thing right here. So this is my mistake. Let's hear it.
I've never met all these people.
I've never met all these people. So we just take this, and that's gone. Here's I don't know, and I fixed it.
Monstrously wrong. I don't know. I've never met all these people you speak of, and neither, I suspect, have you. They only exist in words we hear. It is folly to say that you know what is happening to other people.
Just acknowledging another mistake. It is folly to say that you know what is happening to other people. The word that is missing.
It is
and in the interest of doing this right, I'm going to do it right.
It is folly to say that you know what is happening.
Yeah, I'm going to record that one again. Where am I? It is folly to say you know what is happening to other people.
It is folly to say you know what is happening to other people. Maybe just one more time. It is folly to say you know what is happening to other people.
Okay, here I am again. Stop recording. Here's my take. Get rid of that crap. You know, I did it twice, but I like the second one, so I'll get rid of that crap. And here we are. And let's see if I can get away with just dropping it right in. Unsolo this, restore the effects here.
Of you. They only exist in words we hear. It is folly to say you know what is happening to other people. Only they know if they exist. Only they know if they exist.
Hey, look, an edit I missed.
They know if they exist.
So we just go here, take that, gone.
Words we hear. It is folly to say you know what is happening to other people. Only they know if they exist. They have their own universes of their own eyes and ears. I don't, said the man with a
Oops. Missed that. Easy to fix. Resume.
thinks of as your kindness. I don't, said the man with a smile. I have no idea. It merely pleases me to behave in a certain way to what appears to me to be a cat.
Another thing I got wrong, so let's do it again.
I don't, said the man with a smile. I have no idea. It merely pleases me to behave in a certain way to what appears to be a cat.
Because before I said what appears to me to be a cat. So we got to fix that. What Douglas wrote is what he wrote. It's not up to me to fix it, you know?
I have no idea.
So where was I here? So we're going to solo this, unsolo this, turn this on.
It merely pleases me to behave. I don't, said the man with.
And then what did I record?
I don't, said the man with a.
All right, so it's this right here. And I just drag it up there, get rid of that little hunk of junk there, and we're good. Unsolo this, resume the effects here, and we're back.
What he thinks of as your kindness. I don't, said the man with a smile. I have no idea. It merely pleases me to behave in a certain way to what appears to be a cat.
And too much of a pause here, so we'll just get rid of that.
Appears to be a cat. Do you behave any differently? Please, I think I am tired. Zarniwoop heaved a thoroughly dissatisfied.
Now, that needed a little more air. Maybe I'll just allow myself to take a breath there. And that's kind of all I have. Now, a pro would have a pile of silence. Like, you know, I might grab that little piece of silence over there and insert it here, but I think I've got enough.
To be a cat. Do you behave any differently? Please, I think I am tired. Zarniwoop heaved a thoroughly dissatisfied sigh. I remember no one. The past is a fiction to account for. Stuff it.
Now, I remember when I recorded this, there was too much of a pause between stuff it and then the words bark to Zarniwoop. And I knew that I could just take that out. There's a drama here, and there's a timing that's going to be very important. So what I did do is I interrupted the ruler quite effectively, I think.
Fiction to account for. Stuff it.
And this pause is just me as a voice artist catching my breath to resume to sort of a narrator voice. And it's very easy for me to just take that silence out. And let's see what it sounds like now.
To account for. Stuff it, snapped Zarniwoop, and ran out into the rain. There was no ship. The rain continued to churn the mud.
Now, ran out into the rain.
Zarniwoop, and ran out into the rain. There was no ship.
I want to give myself a little bit of air there too, because he steps out and he's thinking for a while. So I'll do this. I'm going to copy this sort of ambient noise, put a copy of it right there. Oops, right there, like that, and bring it in. So we're just doubling the silence there.
And ran out into the rain. There was no ship. He then talked to his table for a week to see how it would.
Another edit I missed. Just take that and it's gone.
He then talked to his table for a week to see how it would react.
And now the rest of this is just me talking?
So, I didn't make quite as many mistakes as I...
Right, so I'll delete that part, and we're done, right? So this thing's finished. It came out to 13 minutes and 45 seconds. Now, as I listened to it, I do feel that the dynamic range might be a bit too wide. In other words, the ruler of the universe speaks in a kindly, soft tone, and Zarniwoop and Zaphod are these sort of loud kind of guys. And I think if I were to deliver this as an audiobook, I would probably want to do some more dynamic shaping to bring the ruler up a little bit and maybe bring Zarniwoop's loudest noises back down so that it's more palatable to somebody listening maybe in a car or in headphones. I want to know what you think about whether you think I could just deliver this as it is or if it needs a little more engineering to be finished. I'm done. What I'm going to do now is render this thing. And I always render as an MP3. Target quality is maximum, and but I forgot to save. Now, one thing that's amazing to me, I've never saved this project in the whole 45 minutes I've been working on this thing. Reaper has never crashed on me. Never. I've never lost work as a result of failing to save in Reaper. It blows my mind how reliable and effective and just gosh darn awesome the software is. It blows my mind. So I'm going to save my project under VO and under practice. And I made a thing for it, workflow tutorial, the ruler of the universe. And save. Now I've saved a project, but I haven't saved the recording. So now I'm going to render, browse for file, and we're going to put it right there. And we'll call it the ruler of the universe. And save. Now while that goes, it's going through and it's going to take another 4 minutes or so. While it's doing that, I think I'm done, really. I'll post this somewhere and I'll, the comments of this or the description of this YouTube video will have all the details of where you can listen to the whole recording. I might provide an extended recording of me doing the editing if you guys want. Just let me know what you think about this recording. One thing that I always have to remind myself every time I do one of these things is how do I manage the audio of this thing? So just if you're interested in how to make screencasts, I've been recording my main screen with a product called ScreenFlow. I've also got this microphone, which is a portable battery-powered microphone that I've been using to record my narration here. I've got a GoPro, as you saw over there. The iPad is recording in there. But in addition, you needed to be able to hear what was happening. My wife wants to know if I have any requests, and I say beer. And what was I going to say? Yes, I have to record the system audio so that when I play stuff, not only does it come out of the speaker so that I can hear what I'm doing, but it has to go into the video that I'm making for you. And I accomplish that using something called Sound Siphon, which is here, and Twisted Wave. And so here is the audio devices application that Apple provides. And I've created this custom screencast thing. So I've got an input, which is the microphone in the booth, and the output is Sound Siphon out. Here is Twisted Wave recording my system audio. So if I adjust my volume, it shows up there. And so the Twisted Wave is recording my system audio with an input of Sound Siphon. It's also set to play through when recording so that I've been able to hear what's going on. So when it comes time to finish this recording and master it, I'm going to open up probably ScreenFlow to bring in the sound from this microphone, the sound from Twisted Wave, the sound from and video from my iPad in there, and match it all together. And then I can do all the time lapse and all of that stuff. But that only matters to you if you make tutorial videos and not if you're just a voiceover person. So it's time for me to say goodbye. Thank you for indulging me and for hanging out with me as we do this as we do this little tutorial. My thanks to the user this morning who saw my last video. It was Andrew Vevers, if I pronounced your name correctly. Thank you for the note this morning. That was the impetus for me to do this new video. I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I just needed to hear from someone that somebody gave a crap about what I'm doing. So thank you. And please leave me your comments. Let me know what your questions are. If you have suggestions about improving my process, I'd love to hear those too. And until next time, bye, YouTube.